Hi, I'm Nathan Villarreal, and I was a member of the GBM 440 program. If you don't know, it's a study abroad program, but I believe that you do know because that's why you're watching this video. Through this video, hopefully, I am going to detail you my experience, my opinions, and market to you why you should join the program, why you should become a member of a life-changing experience. A bit about myself. Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to explore new countries, cultures, and connections, right, that I thought originally were just pipe dreams. However, through this program, I was able to experience not only just that, but a lot more than I expected. And being able to do this with just a cohort is something that I will never forget. I've made connections with people that I hope will last a lifetime, and I know I will get to see grow and change from this experience specifically. I saw that the program lasted 2 weeks and promised a transformative experience while exploring Germany, Austria, and Italy. Through this experience, I'd be learning about international business, culture, and having the unique experience of traveling with a cohort. Mine, luckily, was about 12 people, so it was a bit on the smaller side, but sizes have been up to 25 and more in the past. If I can be honest for a minute, this experience has changed my life, okay? And it not only changed my life at the end of the trip, but I really felt that change about halfway through. I've gained a lot of confidence throughout this trip. I've met people that helped me step out of my comfort zone on the trip. I've gained a lot more motivation. I've broken a lot of bad habits, and I've gained a lot of good habits while being on this trip. I've learned so much from so many different people and so much from so many different companies that I cannot express enough how much this trip has changed my life. But it only works if you are able to engage and you really put yourself out there and become a bit more extroverted like I did. I'm not gonna lie, I felt a bit nervous, okay? I didn't fully know how I was going to fit in with the rest of the crew. However, I made a promise to myself that I would find a way to engage with everyone on my cohort in a positive way, making new connections, and well, I think I did just that. I hope that this video either pushes you to make a decision that you were already thinking about and joining the GBM 440 program, or it at least makes you consider it after hearing my story and what I went through. So let's dive right in, shall we? The main goal of the program is to show crew members the ins and outs of international business in Germany, Austria, and Italy. During this 2-week-long trip, you tour corporate offices, warehouses, and production plants. From the pre-trip analysis of our major to the post-trip reflection paper, the program is full of insights into international businesses, with each member highlighting topics that intersect with their major. My personal interests surround marketing and the promotional content within the international businesses that we would explore. But even stepping outside of the marketing lens, I learned a lot from this. I learned a lot about and was enthralled with the global supply chain, financial management, and machine learning strategies that a lot of the international companies use. Every aspect of business really opened my eyes to how businesses operate, their organization strategies, how they lead these tours, and what was so special about them. Every aspect of the trip that pertained to international business helped me finally understand a lot of the bits and pieces that I was already missing. Okay, I didn't fully understand how businesses organize themselves inside their own warehouses or factories, or how do they organize assembly lines? How do they find space within these massive warehouses to fit such a compact design? How does just-in-time work? How does just-in-sequence work? A lot of these questions that I've learned in just the first year at CSUSM, I've actually gotten a lot more from. And I know my fellow seniors and juniors in my cohort felt the exact same way. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, but you get the idea. Here are just some of the terms that we went over during our trip through Germany, Austria, and Italy, and the many businesses that we went through. And here's some of the businesses that we toured as well. I promise you, there is a lot to go through. Now, GBM 440 isn't just a course and a program about international business. That is a main focus of it, but it also wants to highlight a lot of culture about Germany, Austria, and Italy. And by gosh, did we go through a lot of culture. During my experience, we traversed through castle ruins, historic palaces and gardens, and monumental landmarks such as churches and other places as well. These cultural visits left a lot to be uncovered, yet gave me a lot of answers that I thought were incredibly interesting and gave a lot more story to things like the castles, like the palaces. They gave me a lot more insights to the German culture, the Austrian culture, and the Italian culture as well. I think this, along with the freeing and fulfilling feeling of running 3 miles in Innsbruck, Austria at 6 in the morning because you're surrounded by the Alps, is what makes this trip so special. It complements the international business side of things so well. And I think that you, as a member of this program, will love the scenery, especially my personal favorite, Innsbruck, Austria. I think I would live there if I could afford it, if that is, right? So, I mean, it is just incredible. Obviously, you are not alone when you take this course. You are with a cohort of peers in business administration such as yourself. In my opinion, this is one of the most life-changing aspects of the program. Getting to share 2 weeks with strangers who you've only met a few times prior to this, some of them who you've never met in your life, and you're touching down in Germany with, sharing an entirely new experience in an entirely new 3 countries with as well. That is crazy. My roommate I didn't meet until he knocked on the hotel room door, and I opened it, and there he was, and that was the first time I met him. That's my roommate. That's my man right there. That's my guy. As a crew member, you become more than just a tourist, but you become an adventurer. As you stray far beyond the path that was set for you, you take on new challenges, you become a lot more independent, and you engage in activities that you probably wouldn't engage in at home. What I thought was really cool, however, were the personal questions that I asked each member, such as what were their favorite song and what was their favorite quote. For some of them, it really fit the bill on who they are as a person. What I also thought was really interesting is you get to see personalities and characters kind of break out of their shell. How the group chat, like Mr. Professor Dr. Bancheri mentioned, changes from the beginning of the trip to the end of the trip, and how each and every person has grown a lot closer in 2 weeks and a lot faster than you would have imagined. You get to see everyone divulge themselves into the executive tours and, according to their major, ask a lot of interesting questions that you probably didn't know that you had. It is truly a one-of-a-kind experience to share these memories with strangers who quickly evolve into family. Now, I don't want you to just listen to me and my own opinion. I want you to hear it from a few of my members that were on my cohort as well. Thank you to Lindsay, Sarah, Ashley, and Richard for helping me with this and giving me their testimonies.
My favorite experience through this trip was just getting to meet everyone and like seeing how much we genuinely kind of align in like our career paths. And that was like my favorite experience, and just seeing everybody kind of get more comfortable with each other.
My favorite part of this experience and this trip was getting to run around European cities, Germany, Austria, and Italy with some of the most funniest people that I will ever have had the honor to meet. Honestly, just meeting these people was a dream come true.
So my favorite experience, I must say, just exploring the city. That was really fun. Just hanging out with you guys. It was a blast.
My favorite part of the trip was exploring the city with everyone and just having fun.
Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that a bit of my opinion and perspective, along with a few of the members of my cohort, have at least changed your perspective on this trip and made you either a bit more curious or at least reinforced those positive traits and characteristics that you saw in the program prior to watching this video. Please give it a shot. And again, thank you for watching. Hello again. If you are watching this, you are probably part of my crew, or you are Mr. Professor Dr. Bancheri. Welcome to the extra little segment that I have here for you that is going to detail you the remainder of the rubric, the 5 memories that I have throughout the different trips that we took that surround international business culture, and then my findings and what I learned personally, and dive a bit more deeper into that. All right. And then at the end, I wanted to thank all of my crew members individually. So stay tuned for the end if you really want to see that. But let's dive right in, shall we? Now, beginning with Porsche Logistics, I wanted to first talk about how they have a continuous choice to try and limit the amount of AI that they use inside of their warehouses, right? I mean, when we looked inside Porsche Logistics, a lot of the things that they were doing were strictly algorithmic. They didn't do anything with the generative AI or AI in general, and if they did, it was in a very limited sector. Now, this is very different from the United States and places on the western side of the world, because, well, we are building what feels like data centers left, right, and center, whereas Central Europe and a lot of other places in Europe, such as Germany, Austria, and Italy, are not doing that. From a managerial perspective, I think what's really important that Porsche Logistics does is utilize the just-in-time process. This process not only allows for Porsche to hold the least amount of inventory and keep inventory costs at an absolute minimum, but it also allows for customers to be happy and changes to be made on the go. Moving on to Karcher. I think what's really interesting that Karcher does that a lot of the Austrian, Italian, or US companies don't do is that it's fully family owned. I mean, this is a $3.5 billion gross revenue company that is fully, entirely family owned. And this plays to a lot of the marketability that the company can hold, okay? I mean, they can offer a lot of perspective and history to their consumers and to their customers, right? A lot of the people that use Karcher, I feel like, are using it because of their extensive background and how well they've served customers in the past. Something that Karcher does that is unique to modern company culture is sustainable green regulations they are putting on their machinery and future projects as well. I mean, here in the United States, we see a lot of ESG regulations being pushed and most likely will be pushed for in the coming years and hopefully about 10 years, but we see this happening already and has been happening with companies like Karcher, with companies like Barracuda, with companies like M.A.N, Mercedes, Porsche. They are finding ways to promote ESG regulations. They're finding ways to promote a greener side of machinery and machine learning and machine technology. Something that I found also very interesting with Karcher from a managerial perspective is that they do a lot of B2B implications. It's interesting here because this is something that, I've seen in the US, and me being able to see it in German engineering and how they actually implement it within their process, that is something different. Moving on to M.A.N, something that I thought was really interesting personally to me is the kind of human-centric nature that they go around everything, right? I mean, we see at Mercedes, we see at other huge factories, right, especially Porsche Logistics, that utilize a lot of robotics and utilize a lot of AI and algorithms to try and power everything and automate everything without the human having to intervene with any of that. That is a bit dystopian to me, I'm not going to lie. However, what is really cool is M.A.N utilizes both at the same time and kind of merges them, right? Almost marriages them, which is super interesting. I mean, I don't see a lot of things like that, especially in the United States and especially in places like Factory 56 at Mercedes. That is very different. Moving on to FlixBus, I think something that FlixBus operates on entirely is the interconnectedness of transportation and public transportation, that is, right? They don't really have a whole lot of it here in the US because we are a very car cultured kind of country, if you would. It's implied that you probably should utilize transportation as much as possible, public transportation that is, instead of just buying a car. And so FlixBus kind of can hit this market a lot and appeal to a lot of the consumers for affordable transportation. Now, from a managerial standpoint, I think that FlixBus should improve on and can improve on their user interface, right? It should be as easy as possible for users to identify what they want and how they can navigate public transportation within their country, within their city, within their county. It needs to be down to a T. And last but certainly not least, Mercedes-Benz. Factory 56. I mean, what an incredible experience that was. I think that Mercedes-Benz, especially Factory 56, shows the kind of 4.0 version of industry and automotive industry, right? We see the implication of AI plus robotics, right? Where you see the digital mapping of the Roombas on the floor and the automatic docking and charging stations that they can go to. You see these humongous, multi-million-dollar robotic arms applying adhesive glue to the inside of a sunroof and then welding it onto the top of or the roof of a car, right? That is something that, I mean, is unique to Mercedes, of course, but is brand new in the sense that we have not seen a whole lot of AI plus robotic integration inside of the workforce. And I mean, we're seeing it now in the most high-tech factory in the world here. Total quality management is also very important as well. Total quality management meaning that these humans and those employees that are working for Mercedes inside of the factory are checking to make sure that the AI is doing a perfect job and making sure that the consumer is going to be as happy, or if not more happy, than the last one. And it is going to be the best car that they've ever made, and they're trying to make this car better than the last one that they've put together. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you stayed to the end because I wanted to thank each and every person individually here. Thank you to everyone. You've all helped me grow a lot. You've all helped me mature, become a better person, and have changed my life for the better 100%, even if you don't think you have, right? I mean, thank you to Ashley for making everyone laugh and being the funniest person in the room all the time. Thank you to Evelyn for being super incredibly nice to each and every person and just kind of, I feel like, being the glue that held every group together. Thank you to Janelle and Lindsay for being people that I can reach out to all the time. Thank you to Angelina, Eleanor, and Blair for the times that you helped me step out of my comfort zone and try new things and become a different person at times, and I thought that was really interesting. Thank you to Richard for being the best roommate I could ever wish for, and for being someone that I could kind of always fall back on if I ever needed help. Thank you to Perla for being a super wise person and giving me a lot of advice when I ever needed it, and discussing with me a lot of the future and what the future holds for myself. Thank you to Mary for being a super wise person as well, for being such an incredibly and interesting person to discuss with and kind of talk about some interesting topics with. I thought our conversations were probably some of the best that I had on the trip, and I cherish them. of course. Thank you to Sarah for constantly bullying me. I'm only kidding, but thank you to Sarah for being someone that I could kind of look to whenever I needed to laugh a little bit, or if I was in a bit of a mood, I would kind of look to you and giggle to myself because I knew that you were going to make a joke at my expense or just be, your smiley self. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. Again, thank you so much for this trip. You have changed my life for the better, and I hope to see you grow in the near future. And thank you to Mr. Professor Dr. Ben Cherry for being incredibly intrinsic and welcoming to each and every member in the group, for not only teaching me a lot prior to the trip, but also during the trip, and reflecting on a lot of your messages and reflecting on a lot of your wisdom and teachings during the trip. I have gained a lot. And so I thank you, of course, and I don't know how to thank you enough. Again, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.